is something like this, affected by things like this. Let's get into it. Accusations of cheating are super common, and as a race official, people come to me with stuff all the time. The thing is, most of the stuff is either impossible to check or, it's all just hearsay. And, once a rumor starts, people believe it regardless of whether or not it's actually viable. So today, I'm going to do something different on the channel. I'm going to take a bunch of these and see if stuff like this actually does anything to it. We're going to have to go outside for this one. Welcome to the table of science. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take these Vega Blue Ontario stamp, which is just Vega Blue, and I'm going to put on each of these sections one of these products. Now these are all products that have had some sort of accusation in the past that they affect tires. They're used for tire doping. Whether they actually work or not is going to be up to this. This is just a durometer tester. Got a little needle on the bottom, you push it down flat, and it gives you a reading. Now, I have already pre-checked all of these tires, and as I said, I used a little block of wood on the inside. Since they're not mounted, I need something to push up against, and I got a 0 reading for all of them. I'm gonna put the product in here in the middle, and then I'm gonna use a little bit of cling wrap, like you would, to keep it up against it overnight. Because this is essentially the setup that you would have at the end of a race day. Tires are off the cart, sun's going down, you're gonna treat them, and then tomorrow morning I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna check all of these. And by the way, these were all checked at 72 degrees. They were all the same at the time that I checked them, and they were all checked with the same thing multiple times, 3 places across the face. Now the way that I'm gonna do this in a sort of sciencey way is I'm going to start with WD-40. Now this is one of those products that we know can affect a tire, or at the very least people say it does, and it's very clearly marked as illegal. If you get caught putting this on your tire, you're going to get tossed. But then there's all these other products that I've heard people say can be used. Windex is one of those things that doesn't seem like it should do anything. If you know what's in it now, I think a lot of people think that there's chemicals in it that used to be there that don't exist in it anymore. But I mean, I know someone who made an accusation recently that got themselves suspended for it, accusing somebody else of using it on their tires. Does it make a difference? I have no idea. Something else, tire shine. Tire shine is very similar to what you're gonna see with the protectant, the ArmorAll. Now, I used to ArmorAll the crap out of my tires and my side pods back when I was racing in the 90s and 2000s, but it had nothing to do with, doping the tires. It only went on the sidewall, on the outside face, because there was a lot more contact back in my day. And it was a very known tactic that you would rub up against a driver that was trying to pass you to slow them down. If you had your side pod and the side of your tires absolutely slathered with ArmorAll, it wouldn't slow you down at all. You would slip right past them and be able to complete your pass. These are 2 different kinds of essentially the same thing. We'll see if they make a difference. Another one is leather conditioner. This is just something that people talk about. Silicone spray is another one. And then there's one special one that is mostly for my curiosity. And that is, well, the Red Label Cola. Everybody seems to think that this makes a difference online. I don't know why. Maybe it does. I mean, just because it affects, rust on chrome doesn't mean it's going to do anything to your tire. But let's find out. Now, the fun thing about athletics, regardless of the sport you're talking of, the mental game is as important as the physical game. Sometimes more so, sometimes a little less, but it's still a factor. That scene in Days of Thunder where Harry Hyde tells him about the special match set of tires, and all of a sudden Cole Trickle goes out there and hangs it on the outside, that kind of stuff genuinely works with racing drivers. It's not hyperbole. And that's the way it goes with cheating. Most of the time when it comes to these ideas of what people are doing, it's all in people's heads. They believe that, they're Windexing the tires, putting Coke on the tires, putting this, putting that, and making all the difference. Their engine, they've drilled out this pilot, or they've made it better, they've got water jets going on. It's all rumor. And if you believe that the driver who's beating you is definitely doing something illegal and there's nothing you can do to catch them, there's nothing you can do to catch them, whether they're actually doing something or not. You believe you can't do it. Okay, so as you can imagine, the Coke doesn't want to stay on the tire. It's just rolling off it. So I have to get creative with this one. I'm gonna put it on the tire and then just wrap it as fast as I can. Hopefully it'll capture enough to do whatever it's supposed to do. By the way, I'm doing the Coke on a separate tire because it's so liquid. There's a really good chance that it'll contaminate the sections around it. So giving it its best chance. There, look at that, it's wet. So we'll see what happens. Now the last test that I'm gonna do is with the WD-40, but not on the outside. Because the major accusation that people give is that what people are doing is actually putting it on the inside of the tire, and that you know, leaches through the tire and it affects how the tire is going to work.
And for those of you saying that you know for a fact that these things actually do work, have you actually tested them? I mean proper back-to-back testing at a track? Or is that just something that somebody told you worked and you believe it? Kind of like the special tires that Cole Trickle used? There's a lot of things in racing that are just in people's heads.
Again, because I don't have these on rims, normally the WD-40 would be sealed on the inside. So I'm going to mimic that as best I can by at least wrapping the whole tire. All right, there we go. So we've got our test materials down. Everything is on the tires that we're going to check. We'll come back with the durometer tomorrow morning and we'll see what we got. Now remember that the way a tire works, obviously, is at a certain temperature, is you get mechanical forces that are actually trying to pull it apart. It actually kind of rips apart. That's why you get the little bits that come off it. These things, chemicals of various types, these household things, are supposed to change the way that the tire mechanically pulls apart, giving yourself more grip, giving yourself better life. You know, the kinds of things that are just beneficial to the driver. 2-cycle, that would make a really big difference over, say, 4-cycle. But the question is, a lot of these things that people are saying are being used to dope tires, do they actually work? So let's go outside and have a look. So you can see right away, there's a definite film. You can clearly see that something was on the tire. Now you would probably let this breathe if you were going to do this on the day or wipe it down with something. And you can see nothing's actually coming off on my fingers, but it definitely feels stickier. So let's go ahead and see what we can get. So we got 45, 45, and 50. 50 on the edge where it's the thinnest. Well, let's see how much of a difference WD-40 actually made. Let's see if we can do this properly. Around 40, we'll call it 43. About 44. And the thinnest edge. So make sure that it's nice and level. The edge is actually staying consistent at about 50. Now here's the thing. You can see the surface has changed. And if I rub my finger across it, I can feel it feels sticky. But what's gonna happen, you put that on the racetrack, that film on the top is gonna come right off. And now keep in mind that this was 24 hours essentially, because I got delayed today. And that's the most that it did. A little bit of surface. Is that worth getting tossed out for? I don't know. Just because it's convenient, we're gonna move on to the leather conditioner.
You can still see it's all over the tire. I'm gonna have to wipe this one off with something, which of course I don't have. Now, as far as feel goes, it's actually quite slick, of course, but there's actually something coming off on my fingers. You can see it on my hand that this has actually done something to remove a bit of the rubber. So let's see what our actual numbers are. Let me get a measurement. Did it actually change the shore of the tire, or is it just surface? That's about 49. About 49. Make sure it's square. Again, we're about 49. Yeah. So once again, it's changed the surface a little bit. It's actually removing the surface on my finger. You can watch it happen. But as for in the tire, it's actually made no difference to the shore. All right, next, we'll go with silicone. Pull the silicone spray off. This is the 3-in-1. Now, just like the WD-40, you can physically see something different on the tire. If you're a tech director, you're gonna see that. What's interesting is, as compared to the, let's see, find a clean finger, nothing's coming off on this one, whereas the leather conditioner, it did. But let's see what we get. Gotta make sure that I get it on the wood. Same. Same. Why are we high here? Oh, I see. I'm not straight. And it's actually going a little bit higher on this one. There we go, about 50. Once again, we're not seeing any change to the shore, because what this stuff is doing is making a difference on the surface, but it's not getting into the tire. But maybe some of the other stuff will. Next up, we're gonna do the tire shine. Tire shine, once again, there's a clear difference on the surface of the tire. You can see where it's soaked in, doing its job, shining the tire. You can see it clearly on the sidewall. But again, there's a little bit of surface. Something on the surface is coming off. Don't know how well you can see that. I don't have much in the way of clean fingers left here. It doesn't really come off this time. So let's see what we got. $45. $46. Get sideways. Settle in around 50. My hand's moving. Tire shine. Shines your tire. Next up, ArmorAll. Now remember, ArmorAll is the one that I used to use all the time on the outside of my tire and side pod to stop people from, rubbing up against me to slow me down. never actually put it on the surface of the tire because it's, you know, slippery. It never made sense to me. But here we go. Nothing coming off on my hands. Nothing that I can see anyway. Nothing coming off on my fingers. Seems just a little bit shiny. You can see it on the sidewall there again. Nothing coming off. Whereas the silicone spray, you know, stuff came off. Nothing came off here. So let's see what we got. See what our short numbers are. .46. Very awkward, so forgive me if I'm having a hard time keeping it straight. Okay, it's about 48, 47, somewhere in there. And then trying to keep it flat. Where can you see it? 49 or 50. ArmorAll does nothing. Now for the one that caused major controversy here in 2025, and maybe did for you somewhere else. Now, as I expected, nothing on the surface. You can't feel it, you can't really see it. Doesn't look like there was anything on the tire, except on the edge a little bit where it was wet. No particular obviousness about it. That's actually just a discoloration that was there. I don't know why that was there, but the durometer showed it as the same. So we're gonna skip that spot, just in case. And let's go. Let's go 47. 47. It's about 50. So that fist fight this year wasn't really worth anything. So what does it do internally? Anything? Let's find out. Now remember this one, the shoulder of this tire is really worn out. I chose this tire for this test because it is the thinnest here, and spraying internally will have the best chance of showing up somewhere on the tire. It's had a few things dripped on it, but we'll avoid that stuff. So can you see it? There we go. 61. 50. What do we got? Got 50, 51, somewhere in there. And there's the block. You can see it. And we are about 50. So even spraying the inside of your tire, a thinned out tire with WD-40 inside, doesn't do anything. What about our dark horse? Does C3PO know something we don't? Here we go. So what I was afraid of, because it's, you know, liquid, it just came out on the side of the tire, moved all the way down to the lowest point. You can see nothing's coming off on my finger. There's nothing on here. Like, there's no visual difference to it. It just smells sweet. But did it actually make a difference to our tire?
54. 4. Block, yeah. Coming down. 55. Would you look at that? Coke did absolutely nothing. Now I know that there's some of you out there that were screaming at your screen saying that's not how you do it. It's got to be mounted. You got to actually do it on the racetrack. You got to do all those things. After all, a durometer tester is just like a dyno. It's just a tool. And the real difference is on the racetrack. The question is, for all these things that are rumored to do things to your tires, some of them definitely affected the surface, but not in a good way. Because here's the thing, as an official, people give me rumors about what people are doing all of the time. This is a good example of it. So is this. And of course, people filling their tires with this. But are they actually doing it? And even if they are, does it make any difference? At least on the surface, or at least below it? Sure doesn't seem to be. Well, I'm open for someone to donate and sponsor, say, half a dozen to a dozen sets brand new tires, and I will happily test all of these and whatever else you want me to look at on a racetrack. But at the moment, this is all out of pocket. So you want to see me do it? Watch more videos, like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. Comment on what you want to see actually tested. Maybe we can look at engine stuff. You know, I've been talking to a few people, got some stuff in the works that should be fun. Let me know. So thank you very much for watching. And as always, I will see you at the racetrack.